And for this game we have RionZeza playing the yellow Zerg against 458, who is of course playing protoss. He's playing the red protoss on spot number 6, whereas RionZeza is playing Zerg on spot number 3, sending his overlord down to spot number 5 to scout that spot. And I think RionZeza is the player JH, or also known as Gasvulture and Voss, and many other names he's using on the Korean server and the Western server. And not much is happening as of yet. Just doing their very first basic probe and drone production movements, spamming, not even spamming APM at this point. And 458 starts off with an 8-9 pylon, as is tradition, and a hatchery being thrown down against the hill inside the choke for RionZeza. And you might follow it up with another hatchery right next to it, or you won't. There's a couple different ways how you can choke close off your entrance. 458 starting with a nexus before a single gateway, and the pool thrown down for RionZeza. I just call him Ryan. I think he intended to as a lion, I think. Not entirely sure. And there is a forge thrown down for 458. It's a little bit tough to see this little portion, the gas portion, because the interface doesn't really line up correctly. I think they should fix that someday. It's a little bit annoying. And of course another pylon and a gateway thrown down. And most likely, no, he's not going to throw down a pylon inside his choke, so we won't be seeing cannons walling himself off. He's just playing an open base. Hatchery started next to his main hatchery, and the overlord now scouting what 458 is up to. And this should also give 458 a clue as to where Ryan is. Ryan is, yes, he's sending it to spot number 3. He knows exactly where he's coming from. Cannon is finishing up in 458's base. Ryan is pulling the overlord away. The overlord's going to take some damage. 2 gateways almost finishing. And the first gateway is already producing a zealot. And Ryan is thrown down 2 sunkens next to the hatchery to wall off his entrance, although you can still walk through, but you will take some damage in the process of doing so. There's another hatchery thrown down. Gas is started in Ryan's base, and this one is going to the minerals. And there's 2 assimilators started for 458. He's definitely going for drops, I presume, although he's also making zealots. Cybernetics core is halfway finished, and the zealots scouted choke again, but he's pulling it back to his entrance, keeping it there. This overlord is just outside of cannon range, getting all the information Ryan needs on what 458 is doing, how far into his tech progression he is, how many units he has out, and just the entire status of his base. And Ryan is throwing down another hatchery, and this gas is just happily mining away. And I assume this one is also going to be a hatchery. Never can be too sure. In fact, doing nothing with that just yet. Another sunken being made, morphed at his choke. And 458 has now started a Stargate. So he's gonna hit it off with some Corsair abuse on the overlords of RionZeza. And now he's starting a mid build. So we can be seeing some cannons here later, and harassing the Sunkens, trying to get them down, prevent, like, RionZeza is trying to prevent 458 from making that mid build by making a Sunken here. Sunken now finishes, Zealots are going to die. They take down 2 Sunkens, and it might take down this 3rd Sunken too. And Zerglings are now focusing down the cannons on the middle, but they don't get much damage off on the cannon as the Sunken in the front has died, and the Zealots can now redirect their focus onto the Zerglings. And 3 cannons thrown down. RionZeza is still trying to fight with his Zerglings, but I think that was an accident. And he lost a single Zergling. He's now walking past, And 458 now most definitely has his mid build up and secured. He's throwing down 3 robotics facilities. Inside his base, he is making Corsairs now. Corsairs about to finish. RionZeza is trying to take down this pylon there. And he's also made another attempt at constructing a sunken in front of his hatchery at his choke. But it gets focused down by the zealots. And in response to that, he has started a Hydralisk den, upgrading Hydralisk speed, producing 2 Hydralisks, now has some 3 hatcheries there. And he's going to try to save this Overlord from dying to the Corsair, and the Corsair decides to retreat because he doesn't want to take any more damage on that Hydralisk. Although I think he could have taken down that Overlord without losing the Corsair, but you never know. Maybe things might pan out a little bit differently. And now he's walking it around. Probably not on purpose. I think Hydralisk was still focused on the Corsair, and the Corsair now here taking down the Overlord. The Overlord dies, and both Corsairs get out safely. Robotic support bay finished. 458 can now start Reaver production. Citadel of Adun thrown down right next to it, and that is the water running from a sink. Should have sat down somewhere else to avoid annoying sounds from being picked up by my microphone. Corsair now flying over 458's base, getting all the information he needs on how far into his build RionZeza is. And RionZeza is making a lot more drones and 4 Scorches. Is finishing a Hydralisk range upgrade and Overlord speed. Now he has 8 Scorches out in his base, ready to take down shuttles and Corsairs. And there's 3 shuttles finished for 458 and 3 Reavers being produced. Inside his base he's adding down more cannons and has started his shuttle range and zealot lags. He's got his Corsairs on his nexus, just in case RionZeza decides to attack it with Mutalisks, but he's not making any Mutalisks. Instead, he's making Hydralisks as a support under the Scorches that are going to fire down the shuttles. But 458, having scouted all that, decides to just target down the choke of RionZeza with his Reavers. He starts off with the hatchery, taking that one down, stopping the production that it can provide for RionZeza. And in the same time, he's made another batch of gateways and 7 gateways now. He's not producing anything from his gateways though. That he's fully focused on producing from his robotic facilities. He's adding on 4 more robotic facilities. He's really committing to the full-on Reaver production. And he's going to load up these shuttles anytime soon. And then 2 more hatcheries. Almost finished for RionZeza at Booster Chamber. And he's just gonna mass up his unit count so he can defend against his attack. And 458 sends his zealots in to quickly finish off these 3 Sunkens, but he decides to pull back as he sees the number of Hydralisks that Rion is sending at him. He's gonna regroup, keep his units there at the choke of RionZeza. RionZeza is still adding on more units and start a lurker upgrade and fly a Carapace and missile attacks for his Hydralisks. And there is two Corsairs trying to harass and take down an Overlord, but he pulls them back and he's going to lose these Scorches to the cannons. Not a single Scorch hits target, and now there are 8 Reavers on the middle, 9 Reavers in fact, and he's now producing a whole lot of shuttles to pick up these Zealots and the Reavers and drop them somewhere inside Rion's base so he can circumvent the choke, not have to deal with these Sunkens. RionZeza, now realizing how rich he is, throws down 5 more hatcheries and a Queen's Nest. He's going for that hive tech once he finishes up the Overlord transportation, situating his Hydralisks at strategic locations to intercept enemy units as best as he can. 458 throwing down a whole lot of cannons and pylons around his base, so he can see wherever Rion is sending out his Overlords and his units, if he does decide to leave his base with his units, giving himself plenty of reaction time. And units being picked up. Here is a drop coming, and Scorch is individually trying to select each shuttle, but he doesn't get a single shuttle down, and 5 Reavers dropped inside RionZeza's base, but the Reavers don't get to kill all of the Hydralisks, because the Hydralisks have a nice surround, forcing the Reavers to shoot on different targets, but the Reavers select the same targets and deal minimal amounts of damage. And now 458 loads up another batch of Zealots and Reavers and flies them in from the other side. And RionZeza is quickly responding to it, but 458 gets all of his units out. 3 Reavers, a bunch of Zealots attacking the Hydralisks, the Reavers attacking the Hydralisks and cleaning them out bunch at a time. 458 lifting up his Reaver, microing his Reaver, and RionZeza now placing lurkers at his main so they can fire down these Reavers, but there's still a Reaver in there, and the Reaver comes out. The Reaver focuses down a bunch of drones of RionZeza, but RionZeza has most of his drones hotkeyed and pulls them away to a gas, and he survives the attack. And he mostly just lost a couple of drones and a bunch of Hydralisks that got fired and focused down by the Reavers, and now he's got 12 shuttles in the middle and about 8 Reavers. He loads them up into the shuttles. He's gonna pick up this Templar too, and a bunch more Templars being rallied to the middle. Zealots too. More gateways being thrown down. Sonic Storm about to finish. Dragoon range has been started, and ground unit weapon upgrade has started. He's now also an observatory going to detect those lurkers at RionZeza's main. RionZeza now adding Sunkens and Spores and has a lot more lurkers finished up. I think that's about 12 lurkers that he's going to bury around his base. So wherever 458 decides to drop his Reavers, they will instantly get focused down, although this is the only spot where RionZeza did not have any lurkers burrowed. And these Reavers being there as a distraction. Now 2 drops flying in, but the drops get focused down. But he just got a storm off, and he kills 38 drones with that storm. And now RionZeza is in a very nasty position where he is on the back foot as he's lost all of his income. He has to pull off drones from his gas and produce a lot of new drones and wait for his income to rocket back up where it used to be. And lurkers now get burrowed at the last spot where he did not have lurkers. Now every single spot in RionZeza's base is covered by lurkers, but I assume that there will be an observer coming out. Yes, an observer is being started. And now he's going to accompany these drops with observers. And here comes the drop. It is being dropped on top of the lurkers and Hydralisks. And the Templar does not storm the enemy. Well, he's trying to storm the middle, but he doesn't get there in time as he dives the lurkers really fast. And the Reavers take out all the Hydralisks, but they cannot spot the lurkers. So, well, there was another drop coming from the other side, and that one does catch a lot of drones. And RionZeza again lost almost all of his drones. He did try to dodge it though, but he did not try to dodge it to another spot. I think he should have dodged to another spot. Way less risky than trying to dodge to the gases inside your own base, because it's way easier to storm here if the Templar is also here. If you send it there, it's way harder for the Templar to storm from here to here. Or there. Like, it's impossible to even storm there. RionZeza now very poor. 458 almost on 200 supply. He has a bunch of Reavers and units, Dragoons, Zealots, Templars, Shuttles, more Reavers being finished, all lined up in front of RionZeza's choke. And he's going to lift them up and drop them somewhere inside of RionZeza's base. There's 2 observers there too. He's going to have them fly around with the drop to detect the lurkers, so it no longer matters that there are lurkers out inside of RionZeza's base. 458 sending them in, flying them, not flying them in, dropping them on top of Sunkens and in range of the Sunkens. And he's going to try to take down these Sunkens from this corner, from this angle, and sadly the observers do instantly die to the spores, but it doesn't matter because the lurkers that were sent out to kill these Reavers die before they can burrow. And now 458 has picked up Templars and more units. No, he's not picked up Templars, he's picked up Reavers, and he's pushing down the front. And RionZeza, being completely broke and unable to defend and produce any more units, decides to tap out and call it GG. And 458 shows us a very nice game of just producing Reavers and Zealots and dropping them inside the enemy base at different locations while also flying a drop in at the same time from a different direction that even I pretty much entirely missed until I saw it already next to RionZeza's base. And well done, 458. And thanks for watching this game.